Hey guys, welcome back to the Fulco. It's the day after Tottenham Hotspur's Europa League semi-final first leg against Bodo Glimt. Spurs running out 3-1 winners on the night. I think if you offered that to us before the game, we'd probably have taken it. So just going to have a quick look through a few bits and pieces that interested me. There was definitely a lot of talk before the game about Ange's team selection going into it. There were some whispers kind of going around that Berival had an injury, but there was no confirmation until the game had kicked off. And so when the team lineups were announced, people were pretty upset seeing Bissouma coming into the side. And some of this, I feel, is fans kind of, they've reached the end of the road with Ange, and just about anything he does is going to be met with criticism. And that's absolutely fair enough. I think what was interesting is that the change to the system, the change to the way we set up was perfectly demonstrated in the first minute. And therefore, it's one of those where when it works that quickly and it works that well, and the players that everybody is upset about have a hand in getting us off to a fantastic start, then it's very easy to, to say, okay, coach has got it right. But it did make sense to me when I saw the starting lineup. So with the absence of Berival, it did feel like we were going to play a more orthodox double pivot with Bentancur and Bissouma in the middle. It also felt like bringing on Richarlison, I thought he would probably play 60 minutes, but bringing him off at half time, so letting him have the first half, meant that we were going to move Brennan Johnson into a higher and wider position on one side. That in itself was going to generate more space in the underlapping area for Pedro Porro, and that becomes important, as we'll see in a second. And then I thought that we would effectively rotate the field so that Richarlison would be an option to be able to hold the ball up. We'd be able to chip it out to him from either the goalkeeper if we needed to, if we were going to be playing out from the back, which we didn't do a great deal of, or we were going to be able to push it up the line. And we did do that quite a lot. There was quite a lot of Udogie pushing it up the line to him and him being able to hold it up and allow us to move up the pitch in good order without the ball flying back the other way. So that worked really well. The other thing that Richarlison did, and everybody being surprised by him playing, is he won every first contact in the air, it felt like. And again, that's one of those things. That was what the coaching staff were looking for. They knew that we were going to play the balls higher than we normally do. We were going to put in far more crosses. In fact, the crosses statistic was extraordinary. We put in 24 crosses to 6 for Bodo, and it just shows that we were definitely identifying that we could go over the top, particularly from set pieces, and we could have success. And then the first goal, scored within the first 40 seconds, was fantastic from that point of view, because we managed to get our players advance up the pitch. So it was one of the occasions where we were able to put on a high press and really squeeze them up. And then there was a bit of head tennis of the ball in the penalty area. Bissouma, who people were surprised to see because he hasn't played much, put on a really professional performance for me. He did really well. And I enjoyed the fact that he committed, he eased his player out the way to win possession of the ball as it was dropping. He laid it back out wide, good quality delivery towards the back post, and then Richarlison with a really nice header. So he gets up, he's really, really working to get that ball back into a dangerous area. So there's lots of things he could have done with it that would have made it easier for Bodo, but he put it into the perfect location. And this is where we have to give Brennan Johnson his credit. He has identified that as Richarlison's getting up, because if you watch the goal back, you'll see he starts to move before Richarlison makes contact. And then he really commits to getting to that spot that he gets to, where he gets so much joy and so many goals. So credit to him. He read it. He got into the position he needed to be, and he headed the ball in. It's 1-0. It's within the first minute. There was a great atmosphere before the game, but what it did is it allowed us a platform. It would have been a completely different game if we'd have gone into this and we'd have had a similar situation to what we've had in the past, where we've conceded super early. That allowed us to go ahead and play, and I think we played in a way that not many people thought we would. We were a little bit more conservative with our press. We were a little bit more conservative with our average field position. We were willing to play the ball higher. We were willing to knock the ball away in terms of clearances, just get under the ball and knock it away. And we nullified what Bodo were trying to do, because we were saying, you are a team that ostensibly sets up in a 4-3-3 similar to us, who love to get rotations going, and you love to play on the counter-attack, and you're really well drilled at doing it. Well, good luck counter-attacking us if we're not going to be committing everybody forward like we normally do. You are going to actually have to play and to dominate possession and try and create. And they really didn't, okay? The goal aside, they didn't create very much. We were probably unfortunate not to come out with a couple more goals ourselves, and that was down to the way the team set itself up. The positions, the fullbacks not coming up as high, or them only coming back where we had really good possession, and us being able to nullify their threat to a large part because of the way that the team was set up and the way that we played. The second goal is another example of what I was talking about with Brennan Johnson's position, and then what that afforded Porro. So again, a really nice opportunity. Johnson gets out the way, and Porro's got acres of space to drive forward with the ball in that kind of half space, in that inside channel. And then with the quality that he's got, he plays a lovely ball over to Maddison. This is something we know that they work on. We know that late run from the midfielder, from the number 10, is something that they've been working on, and it's been successful before in Europe. And yeah, the delivery, the quality of the delivery from Porro is key. And then Maddison does really well. He managed to bring the ball down. He brings it off the outside of his foot inside the penalty area. And then for me, look, every goal counts. And Madders, if you're watching, come back at me on this one. For me, I felt like he was trying to really get some power on it, potentially try to go through the keeper's legs, but he kind of bobbles it. And don't get me wrong, I've spoken about this. Bobbled finishes into the ground are, a great way to get the ball to bounce over defenders or over goalkeepers. They are a skill. They're things that players work on. But for me, I think he actually, he tops it a little bit, to use a golfing analogy. But it doesn't matter. What he did do really well is he's reversed it back the other way. He's gone back towards the second post. And so the defender that comes sliding in has actually slid past the ball, because he's obviously trying to cut out the middle of the goal with the keeper covering the near post, and it goes in behind him. So absolutely brilliant. Great execution. Delighted to see that, bearing fruit, because that will give oppositions another element to look at. That long ball forward with a midfielder running on, even if the defence is able to win the first contact and knock it down, the chances are they're either knocking it into midfield or they're knocking it wide, and that's going to end up going into a position where one of our wide players or one of our advancing 6s or 8s is going to be able to, challenge for the ball. That's perfect. That's another string to our bow in terms of our attacking play, because we've got the quality to execute it. We then, kind of make changes at half time, and I think Richarlison deserves huge credit for what he achieved in the first half. He did really well. I want to see him get some minutes on the weekend, because he's going to be really, really important to us going forward. And he's in a good, good vein of form. Matisse Tell comes on, and again, this is the coaching staff setting their stall out. They feel that in the second half, with us being up, they feel like Bodo are going to commit a little bit more forward to try and get something away from home, because that's the way they play. That's the kind of positive nature of their football. And so they were going to try and use Matisse Tell to get the ball to feet more so, facing the opposition goal more so than Richarlison, who played a bit more back to goal. And they were going to try and free him up to try and push them back up the pitch. And to a greater or lesser extent, it worked fine. There was no issues down that left-hand side from the changes in the second half. And we managed to go ahead and get that third goal, which is all important. This time, good play inside the penalty area from Romero. He reacts, he gets up to get first contact on the ball, which is just so important in every situation. And the player kicks him in the leg. I'm really surprised that there's any hesitation whatsoever that was a penalty. It's a free kick anywhere else on the pitch, so it's a definite penalty. And then wonderful to see that despite Dom Solanke not scoring tons and tons of goals, which I don't believe is to a greater extent his fault. It's wonderful to see the quality and the calmness and the emotional stability to step up and to execute a penalty like that. He's done it before. He did it again today. This is a really high pressure game. You know, the difference between scoring and not scoring that goal could have been huge in terms of the psychology of the game. And he steps up, he stops, the keeper gives him the signal, the keeper shows him which way he's going to go, and he just rolls it in the other side. It's such a difficult technique to do for anyone that's taken penalties or is a penalty taker. It's so hard to do, to stop your run up. Everything in penalty taking leads you to want to, you know, get a bit of momentum and then be able to put a bit of power behind the ball because you're generating it from a standing stop. Whereas a penalty like that is the complete opposite. It's about the keeper giving you the signal and then you just rolling it the other way. And he doesn't roll it very far left of centre. So if he got it wrong, he'd look very silly because the goalkeeper would effectively just be scooping that up. It wouldn't really need to make a save. So really well done. Great to see that level of confidence. Great to see that level of execution from Dom. And it was fascinating to see that we were willing to cede possession to Bodo and invite them on. They didn't create a great deal. And then we were willing to change up how we were going to, you know, having a double pivot in midfield and how we were going to look at the game in a whole. I would really like to see, and I've said this before, against West Ham on the weekend, some versions of this with the players who need minutes. So if this is the tactic that we are going to be taking forward, we've shown our hand now. So it's not like we're keeping it under wraps so that the opposition can't, you know, they can't judge us on it. It's great to have multiple different ways of playing so that oppositions have a harder time setting themselves up and preparing. And I'd like to see the players coming in to get minutes be able to execute. We didn't execute anything against Liverpool. It was such a disappointing game. That was more to do with just the individuals not winning their own battles on the day. I want to see against West Ham, even the players who are coming in, if we play a similar system, let's see them execute it. Let's see them doing the same kind of things, and we're going to need it. I'll talk quickly about the goal we conceded. I've already said this, chatting to Jim on Oso Spurs, but sometimes you concede a goal where you just have to hold your hands up. And it's not like this was a worldie, you know, fired in from 30 yards, but sometimes things just conspire that a goal goes in and you don't need to tear strips off your players. You don't need to throw your hands up and say, well, this is the same old stuff that Tottenham do. I didn't feel like the Bodo goal was that. I felt like during the phases that led to them scoring, they got the break of the ball, they got the ricochet that worked for them. They fired the ball from, it was played wide and it was fired into a midfielder who then plays it one touch through the lines into the penalty area. Sometimes things are executed to high quality and they're done quickly, and there isn't a great deal you can do about it. You can just hope that your setup around it gets you into a position to do something. From that, the captain who then scores the goal, who picks up the ball, throws a wonderful body swerve, sends everybody the wrong way, and then a little drag over with his studs, just pulls the ball into the perfect position on the other side so he can get it onto his stronger foot and whip it with the inside of his foot. It's just high quality play. So it's executed really, really well. And I really do feel for Bentancur in that moment because he had a really good game and he was in that situation where he gave absolutely everything to get a surface in the way and try and get in the way of that ball, and it comes off his foot, and you know, luck being the way it is for Tottenham, it loops over the goalkeeper instead of blocking or going over the bar or sending it wide. So I thought we were a bit unfortunate in that respect, but sometimes the opposition just scores a really good goal and you've got to hold your hand up. I do feel like we could have gone on and we could have scored more goals, and that was something we left on the table. Decky, who was on the pitch at this point, he still looks a little way off his best. There was a couple of moments where, you know, he used his strength to ease players out the way, and that was nice to see. But I don't feel his touch is quite there. He certainly doesn't look like he's running up to full pace yet. And he had a couple of opportunities. He certainly had one shot which was disappointing, hit the defender in front of him, where I felt he could do better. Could have done one of those left-footed drags that he does, set the defender and then just drag it past him, and then he's got either a ball across the 6-yard or he's got a right foot finish. And he had one later on as well. And then we had a really good moment where Udogie, all the way into the 90th plus, had done really well. He's got himself to the byline. He's, committed the players. And in this instance, where he should have, as he was entering the penalty area, probably just whipped it across the 6-yard line. And, Brennan Johnson's there for a tap in, because he always is. He hesitates just that. He takes that one extra step. And then he's kind of tightened his angle and he hits it straight at the keeper. That was a bit disappointing, because that would have taken from a 3-1 and the typical anxiousness that we've got as Spurs fans, having conceded the last goal. 4-1 would have put us back on a much more positive footing. So yeah, we probably should have come out of that game with at least a 3-goal cushion. But I definitely feel that we can go to Boda and we can score goals. So that's very pleasing. Overall, I'm feeling fairly positive. We changed the way we played. We've had tactical tweaks that have worked and have been positive, and they've absolutely given us the best platform to go there to score multiple goals and to come out with a victory and a cushion to go to the away leg with. And now we need to just go and follow that up. You've got 90 minutes to get yourself to a European Cup final, and you've got to go out there and leave absolutely everything on the pitch, because losing in the semi-finals is awful, as Spurs know only too well. And I feel we can do it. I feel we've got the tools to do it. We'll hopefully not pick up any more injuries. That will certainly be something we need to keep on throughout the week, because we know that Bergvall is very unlikely, an ankle injury is very unlikely that he's going to play, and Maddison as well. I'll be interested to see how much of a tweak that was, and whether we feel that we're going to get any more out of him. But we do have Decky stepping in, so hopefully he gets minutes against West Ham. He builds himself a little bit, and then he's firing slightly more on all cylinders in next week's game. I'm going to leave it there. We won the first leg. We go with a 2-goal cushion, and I'm feeling relatively positive about it. And I'm delighted, and it sends me into the weekend positively. Let's hope we can put on a performance. Don't care about the result against West Ham. I will. If we lose it, of course, it'll hurt. But I want to see a performance, as I keep saying, in the league. I want to see these things being put down and executed by players, because it means they're in a better position to do so next week against Boda, and then hopefully in the final in Bilbao. Let's leave it there. Have a great weekend, everyone. Come on, Tottenham.